Good evening and welcome to my channel. I am Shik and I am the god of this land. Now, I'm doing something a little different. And by different, I mean my channel is not consistent at all. So everything I do is different. Very exciting. But today, I'm doing something very out of my range and I'm going to be bringing to you a true crime case. Now, in this true crime case, I wanna mention that I was involved in it, and it's very crazy. You never think that you're gonna be involved in a true crime case, right? But the case had been going on up until its solving for 3 weeks. It had been going on for 3 weeks, and it begins in about mid-October. So this case happened on an island, and if you guys don't know, I manage an island. I'm kind of a big deal. And on this island, there's a lot of different villagers, a lot of different people who live there. There are 16 at its peak. There's some people that live there permanently, and there's some people that are just there for work, and there's some people that may live there, may not, but we're not totally sure. So about 5 of them live in their businesses and 11 live in their house full time. So you have Tom and Isabel. They work the counters. They make sure like all the paperwork is getting done and that everyone's getting along and stuff. You have Blathers, who runs the museum and collects fossils and art and all sorts of cool knickknacks to teach the public about nature and all the various things within. You have Timmy and Tommy, the twins, who run the general store and they probably live in it. And you have Spork, who lives in this really beautiful little log house. I hope his house is log. He's lovely. We love him. We have Huck, who is such a sweetheart. A lot of people don't like him for some reason, but I think he's lovely. He's fun and he's spunky, and his house is really cool. You have Fuchsia, who is, a retired biker, bit of a rebellious type, big sister type, very sweet. You have Doc. We all hate Doc. We want him gone. Good news is he is gone as of recording this. I got rid of him. I told him to leave. He didn't feel welcome, and rightfully so. He was not welcome in our vicinity. He has been replaced by another dude who I have not even talked to because I don't want him here. I had plans for another friend to come over. We're not getting into it. So we also have Sky, who's a sweetheart. She doesn't leave her house very much, honestly, but she's a sweetheart. Great fashion sense. We have Meringue. I think everyone knows Meringue. Everyone's got Meringue. Meringue's great, but like, I may have to get rid of her as well. She's taking up room, There's Mallory. Mallory's pretty cute and spunky and fun. You have Puddles, who is an absolute angel. I would die for Puddles. Puddles is my best friend. You have Aurora, who may be evil. I mean, sometimes you look at her and you can see hell in her eyes and it's terrifying. I don't really trust her, but I don't think she'll hurt me yet. And then you have me. I live on the island. I'm living on the island right now. Very crazy. And Teddy's kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie. Teddy's had some drama on this island, and I absolutely will be discussing that. So first off, the thing about this island, which is called Pissopolis, by the way. I named it. I'm very proud of that name. It very much suits the island. it has a community board where everyone can post whatever they want. They can post like community events and things that are happening. And one day in mid-October, this note appeared on the board, and it was by me. I had written this note, and I just mentioned, like, has anyone seen Teddy in a while? I haven't seen him since for a very little while. He was supposed to come meet me after he was done hanging out with Fuchsia, and it was kind of suspicious that he was hanging out with Fuchsia in the first place, because like, if you look at the posts I was making when I started this island, these two were like the first people to come live there. And they didn't really get along because Fuchsia would bully Teddy all the time. It was just really crazy and weird. And I, I don't really have proof other than like me saying that, but I do have proof of Spork bullying him. So it's not really a huge stretch to think Fuchsia was as well, because like, if Spork was doing it, Spork, who is very sweet and nice, if Spork is bullying someone, then that means they're very much bullyable. So if Teddy and Fuchsia were like not on friendly terms, why were they even hanging out that day, So it was really unusual, but there was no response to it either, and Teddy hadn't been seen for like a few days, and it just all very suspicious until it wasn't. So on the northeast corner of the island, there was like this little area, and it was mostly empty, but it had some tables and chairs, and I leave it open for like fireworks shows and stargazing and stuff, and because I don't really know what else to do with it, but it's a nice area. I did put flowers up there for a while. Crazy stuff. Anyway, it's really secluded, so no one really paid attention because it was just off on the edge of the island. But one day we went up there, and there was blood on the ground. Just a big splatter of it. Okay, that wasn't very swag of you. So, we didn't have cops. I mean, there's like 11 people on this island. We can regulate ourselves. We don't need the police or anything. But I did need to solve this murderer. Like, come on, we can't have a murderer on our island. That's crazy. So I called in some friends from various other places, friends that also ran islands. And they came in, and I let them have their little run. I gave them a tour to all the clues, so they could have a turn figuring it out on their own, and we could put our ideas together and figure out who the killer was. So I said I gave them a tour, and what I mean is there was different hot spots, right, that I would take them to. First being the blood stain on the top of the cliff, and the bloody drag marks, and they led all the way down and down to the first layer of the island, that floor, the bottom, and it went down through the gardens, and it made a turn and went through this pathway that no one really uses, so no one really thought to go check on that. And it just went all the way to this hole in the ground, like a grave, and there was a shovel next to it, and the blood was dragging marks went into the grave, and then footprints came out, and then the footprints went down and around the corner to this sink that was left running. So clearly the killer had washed off there, and there was no more footprints after that. The sink was outside Spork's house, so a lot of people were suspicious that it was Spork. But a lot of people go in and talk to him, and it's like, he has no motive. He's a really sweet guy. He's really friendly. He has plenty of friends. Most of them are bugs, but like, he's a chill dude. I think he is capable of snapping. Everyone thinks he's somebody else when they come to my island, and then they find out that he's not that person, and they call him ugly, and it's very mean, and people need to stop doing that to Spork. Please don't come to my island to be mean to Spork. We will have a problem. but really he has no motive, right? Like him and Teddy didn't hang out. They didn't really know each other that well. You never saw them together. Um, Teddy is very athletic and Spork's very chill and kind of slothish, so you're not really gonna see them hanging out together, right? And they don't live close to each other either, because like Teddy lived at the top of the mountain right next to the spot where he was killed, and Spork lives on the complete other side of the island in his own little yard. So they're really, Spork's closer to Fuchsia and Puddles and Huck. There's no motive, but you know, like I said, he could have snapped. Who knows? And he had bullied Teddy in the past. So, just outside of Spork's home, or just south, you just go down the pathway. There's this big pink home. It's gorgeous. It's got this beautiful pink fence and this garden where all the flowers are pink, and beachfront view, gorgeous place. And this is where Puddles lives. Puddles is an absolute sweetie. Puddles deserves the world. But outside her house, there was an axe in her garden. There was a murder weapon in her garden. And I was just very suspicious. Of course, and again, when Puddles was home, some people didn't get to go in and talk to her, but those who did talk to her just couldn't suspect her because she's just so sweet and kind and spunky and friendly, and like she couldn't hurt a fly, even though she should be eating flies because she's a frog, but I'm gonna mind my business on that. So yeah, like she doesn't seem like the type, but there's an axe in her garden. Like, what's that all about? But there was someone else on this list that has a lot of fingers pointed towards her, and that person is Fuchsia. Fuchsia had been the last person to see Teddy, according to the note on the board, according to what Teddy had said. And the blood trail went through a reasonable route for her to follow on her way home. Like, it's very reasonable to assume she lives here. The cliff was up here. I hope my hand is showing on the camera. She's going down and down and around, and then there's a river and a bridge, but she went past that this way to Barry, go wash her hands, and then go down across the bridge and to her home. Like, it's very, very much on her way if she did do the killing. So the next best step for the investigators was to check out her home, and sure enough, there was a dress, and it was very much the kind of dress that Fuchsia would wear, and it was covered in blood stains just all along the bottom of it. So at this point in the investigation, you have a few conclusions to make, very simple conclusions. You have the fact that Fuchsia did it. You had investigators saying that Fuchsia had done it and Puddles had helped her cover it up. And you have it that Spork had done it and framed the other two. So this theory is very, very intact, very, very good suspects for this murder. But what if I told you that there was a piece of evidence being left out? What if I told you that when I was leading people through this island, I was purposefully, intentionally walking out of the way of a particular house? I gave them all time to explore as they pleased because a lot of them hadn't visited my island before and they wanted to see all the cool things. But only one person had thought, only two people had thought to enter this one particular area. One of these people entered it first, of course, which was a problem. And they saw the big evidence. So after that, I put a tube in the entranceway so people would go right into the tube and go to the crime scene directly, so I wouldn't have to lead them all the way through the island. and risk them wanting to visit this particular area. But this house was always left unlit. Like, it was kind of behind a thing. No one ever really thought to go in there except for a few people. And this area was the first floor of my house. If you walk into the house and you turn left, you would see this. You would see the torture room that I had created. And not only does it peg me directly as the killer in this case, but it also alludes to a second victim I had killed before. I had killed Kashmir. She didn't belong on my island. She wasn't welcome. She had lived next to me for so long and no one ever talked about her. Everyone forgot about her. And I would have gotten away with it if I hadn't encouraged people to solve it. I will say though, there is one investigator that I do want to shout out that actually figured it out without going into my room. He actually figured out that I framed Fuchsia. And I said, oh, did you find the damning evidence? He had not. He hadn't even thought to walk into my house. So kudos to him for figuring it out. But yeah, it was a fun little experiment that I ran. If you haven't figured it out by now, this was an Animal Crossing thing. I mean, I don't actually own an island. It's about ownership. But I really had to get this video together. I promised it ages ago, but I just didn't get it out. I kept forgetting, but I finally did it. And you finally know who the killer is. You finally know if your theories were correct. And I thank everybody who participated, because it was just so much fun teasing people and redirecting them and walking past my house and being like, are you sure you saw everything? And they would come out with their theories and be like, interesting. And I suck at keeping secrets, so it was just like painful. I had to finish this video. It took a lot longer than it should have, and I'm sorry for that, but I'm really glad you're still here and I hope you enjoyed it. So I will see you next time. Shit out.